26, 2015 meeting of Coolidge City Council. I'm going to call it to order. I'm going to ask that we have the invocation, and then if everybody will remain standing after that, we'll go into the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the invocation.
Let's pray. Dear Lord God, gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you that we live in this city, in this state, in this country. We would ask tonight that you incline our hearts and our minds to your perfect will, that all we do and all we say is pleasing to you and beneficial to the citizens of this fine city. And we ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Norma, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Gilbert Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Hudson.
Here.
Councilmember Robert Huddleston.
Here.
Mayor John Thompson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jackie Henry.
Here.
Councilmember Gary Lewis.
Here.
And Councilmember Tatiana Murrieta.
Here.
Thank you.
The first item on the under presentations is employee of the quarter, and I'm looking for the. Do you have the letter? Oh, is the
Everything's
letter
right
over
up there,
here?
Mayor. Mhm.
Okay.
Right
All
up
right.
the
I'm going to
letter.
ask the council to step down so we can recognize our employee of the corner. Okay. The employee of the quarter is Brenda Schumacher, Recreation Coordinator. I don't see any reason why she can't come up right now. I'm going to read the letter about her, but I know she's nervous, so let's get her up here. Brenda, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you for being selected as the City of Coolidge Employee of the Quarter for July, August, and September 2015. Back in August, during a power outage that affected many residents of the Hohokam Mobile Village, you not only opened the doors to the adult center for the residents of the Hohokam Mobile Village, but you welcomed all who were without electricity. Not knowing what time the electricity would be restored, you volunteered to stay at the center and provide programming such as games, movies, crafts, and other activities to help pass the time. Once the electricity was restored, you further accommodated the residents by offering them transportation back to their homes so they would not be stranded. This is just one example of how Brenda operates on a daily basis and why I am proud to work with her and why our community should be proud to have her employed by the City of Coolidge. I applaud you for being so dedicated to your job and, more importantly, to the citizens of our community. Brenda, on behalf of the City Council and staff, I would like to thank you for your efforts that go above and beyond what is expected. We are fortunate to have an employee of your caliber and dedication. Once again, I congratulate you on a job well done. Thank you. Okay, the item number 5 under presentations is the monthly report and business spotlight recognitions by the Coolidge Chamber of Commerce. Lynn?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's my privilege to share with you our October Business of the Month Spotlight, Codazona. I'd like to get John and Rodney Kent up here. They are homegrown boys, and they do construction, and they did all the renovations for the Coolidge Chamber of Commerce.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
We're the homegrown boys.
You
apparently.
are. You are right out in Valley Farms. They home grew you.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't get far. Still here. What else do you want to know?
You didn't bring any quotes, price quotes, or any for any rates, did you?
No.
No.
Do
All
you
right.
want some?
We can do it on the
No,
spot.
you might be able to give us an idea of what services you can provide, though.
New construction, remodeling, whatever else comes along.
Okay. Well, we know you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The flooring,
Not so much.
okay,
Just general stuff.
all right.
Nothing special.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yes, we can do a horse shed.
But
Yeah.
they did the remodel of the Chamber of Commerce, and if any of you have seen the Chamber of Commerce, they did a great job. And easy
they did
to
a good
work
job.
with, and they do what they say they're going to do.
All right. Outstanding. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our reinvestments for August were Sam's Club, Casa Grande Rent-A-Can, Safeway, Paychecks, Hospice of the Valley. Our new members for August are Jeff's Desert Appliance Repair and Low Budget Movers. The website hits for August was 230,541. Our walk-ins are up hugely, from 167 to 545. That has to do with not only the chamber but the artisan village. Things are moving and grooving. Phone calls are up to 371. We didn't send out any relocation packets. Top foreign country that visited us was Australia. The Casa Grande Ruins visitors for August was 22,046, and year-to-date is 55,132. I have to tell you, our awards banquet was well-received, and one of the great things that happened that brought people to our community, Ann and I had our first major glass class where people flew in from Washington, Oregon, Denver. We had like 8 people here that came in that'll be back for a reunion in June, and of course for some other classes, but that's just some of the things this is only the beginning. Some of the other events coming up is the gift glass workshop with the glass here from October 24th to December 5th, except for November 8th. You can come in and make a gift from $30 to $40 in 3 hours out of glass, and that's a bargain. CDC meeting is tomorrow. Haunted House is October 28th, and we are having Mayor with the Breakfast with the Mayor. It'll be our first one on November 5th. Our health fair will be November 7th. We'll have some other classes at the village at that time. November 13th, drumming for fun with kids, and also women's rhythm wellness drumming. On November 21st, we'll have origami ornaments, and on November 21st, Little Mermaid Junior will be playing at the Performing Arts Center. And if you like more detailed information on that, if you visit our website at www.coolidgechamber.org. I haven't said that enough, so I had to think. Do you have any questions for me?
Have any questions down here? No. How about you guys? No?
Well,
No?
things are going well.
Well, we think it's going well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the monthly report by the Coolidge Youth Coalition. Sharon? Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Sharon Boyd, and I'm the director of the Coolidge Youth Coalition. This evening, I want to give you some did you knows and facts about our kids and distracted driving and social media addiction. Tonight, I have here with me Bailey Hodge, Hayden Brinkerhoff, and of course Mandy Alexander for CYC also. Did you know that 95% of our teenagers use social media and that 70% log in daily? In fact, they log in up to 100 times a day. This age group takes 150 photos to find one selfie that they feel is good enough to post. Our teens are fast becoming addicted to their smartphones and tablets. This includes sneaking to check their cell phones in class, loss of focus, escapism, and increased relationship problems, withdrawal, and a decrease in real-life interactions. Girls are using social media more than boys and have stated that they would rather not eat for a week than be denied their cell phone. FOMO is a huge problem. What is FOMO? Fear of missing out. It's a form of peer pressure to be doing what you perceive all of your other friends are doing, and that is having fun. This causes our teens to question, why is everyone having fun without me? Our teens reported feeling deeply unsatisfied because social media forces them to compare their lives to those of other teens. Social media addiction has many of the same side effects as drug addiction. This is a real problem, and this is really depression and addiction. But our teens tell us, at least I'm not doing drugs. Our teens are becoming antisocial, going into depression, and literally becoming addicted to likes, which may be as harmful as drug addiction. As parents, educators, and preventionists, it is important to implement rules for our kids with social media. Have them sign off for a weekend. Disable the internet when they are studying, and have our kids interact in person with each other and their families. Know who your kids' social media friends are. A lot of our kids on social media have friends on there that they don't even know who they are. They just want the likes. They want the likes on Facebook, they want the likes on Instagram, and they don't know who a lot of these people are, and that is very, very dangerous. So know who your kids' friends are on social media. Our Coolidge Pride kids will be sharing with you more about social media addiction in the form of PSAs and trainings and workshops. That's one of the things that they are working on. Distracted driving. As we enter into the holiday season, we once again realize the importance of paying attention while at the wheel of a car. Distracted driving is the #1 cause of death of teens in the United States, overriding drug use by at least 1/3. Texting is by far the worst. Your eyes are diverted from the road. Your hands are used to type messages, and your mind is focused on what you are typing. This is very dangerous and risky behavior. Distracted driving is a choice some of our teens are making every day, and we need to make our kids aware of how dangerous their decisions on the road can be. Our teens' decision to text and drive can have major consequences, including jail time for accidents, loss of life, and other very risky behaviors, just taking their focus away from what they are supposed to be doing, and that is driving. Once again, we need to have a conversation with our teens. Keep your hands on the wheel and keep your eyes on the road. Keep your speed down. Check your mirrors. Limit your interaction with other passengers in your car and take breaks if you feel yourself getting sleepy. Most importantly, we need to have our teens make a promise to never text while they are driving. So please, parents and educators, start this conversation with your teens today and keep up the conversation. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Council members. As the new project coordinator for the Coolidge Youth Coalition, I have been very excited to get started on the many leadership activities and drug-free community projects that we have had planned for our Coolidge Pride students. Recently, I had the pleasure of taking 4 of our Coolidge Pride students up to the Flagstaff Extreme Adventure course. This trip was meant for bonding, meeting someone new, team building, getting away from their cell phones, and a chance for them to step outside of their comfort zones. There were 5 courses at the Flagstaff Extreme Adventure course, each containing several different obstacles from rope swings, scrambling walls, hanging nets, wobbly bridges, and other suspended surprises. Miss Bailey Hodge here with me, CYC Coolidge Pride member, is going to talk a little bit more about that in just a minute, but I'm quickly going to give you an update on some other events CYC has been involved in and some projects we have coming up for the kids. Recently, CYC received funding to bring Teen Law School, an educational organization which teaches teens the laws, penalties, and real-life consequences of typical teen violations into all Coolidge schools. Last Friday, we had a guest speaker from Teen Law School visit Imagine Prep Coolidge and discuss important topics such as truancy, search and seizure, and zero tolerance policy, and how these Arizona laws can affect our young people. CYC has also recently partnered with Monsanto Company and Coolidge High School FFA in hopes to start up and bring some sustainable agriculture projects to the community of Coolidge. A couple of weeks ago, CYC was invited to attend Monsanto's Cotton Field Day. It was very educational, and it was a great event for the kids to meet their local farmers and learn about different Monsanto practices. This Friday, I will be meeting with some of our Coolidge Pride kids, and we'll be going over the PSAs that Sharon was talking to you about. Our topics will include distracted driving and social media, she has already mentioned. So stay tuned for what we have coming up. CYC received grant funding from Simpatico to start up a community garden, which I'm sure most of you have heard about. We have partnered with our stellar Coolidge FFA students on this project, and we will be implementing a couple of innovative plots into the Artisan Village. So lots of exciting things coming up, and sorry for being so long-winded, Bailey, but I'm going to let her take the show now, so thank you.
Hi, I'm Bailey. I got to go to Flagstaff with Mandy and 3 of the other members of the Youth Coalition a couple weeks ago, and we did the Flagstaff Extreme Adventure course, and that was really fun. It was a really cool experience. I was able to meet some new people and kind of just like grow new relationships with them. I was one of 2 people to finish the entire course, and that was really hard, and I was super tired after, but it was fun. And the girl that I completed it with was Emily Schmidt, and I just got to really know her, which was really cool, and now she's a pretty good friend of mine. So it was a really good experience. And I was super sore the next day, but it was still a lot of fun.
All right, well, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. You guys do good work over there. Next item on the agenda is the call to the public. This is an item where we allow 5 minutes for someone to come up to the podium and address the council on an issue, any issue, I guess, that they so desire. We just ask that if you do approach the podium that you give your name and your address before you get going. I see nobody approach. We will move on to the business items for consent. And I would ask now if there's anybody that wants to pull any items off of the consent agenda.
Number 9.
Okay. So I'll read the others, and then we'll go from there. Item number 7, authorize city staff to move forward with Phase 1 drainage improvements within the Raymond Street drainage area. Item 8, consider approval of FY 15-16 street work program and the procurement process to purchase materials utilizing cooperative purchase agreements to bring back to the council for consideration. Item number 10, consider approval of entering into the first change order to downtown Coolidge Drainage Improvements Project between the City of Coolidge and Retalk, Powell and Associates Consulting Engineers, Inc., for the preparation of the final plans for Phase 1 drainage improvements within the Raymond Street drainage area. And number 11, consider approval of entering into a second amendment to authorization of services Task Order Number 1 between the City of Coolidge and Kimberly Horn and Associates, Inc., to include the deadline to extend the deadline for engineering consultant services at the Coolidge Municipal Airport through March 15, 2016. I don't see any, so we just roll call on that, or no roll call. Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda items 7, 8, 10, and 11.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now move on to item number 9. Consider approval to unfreeze additional capital sales tax funds in the amount of $3,349.60 to purchase a 2006 Ford F-550 bucket truck for the Public Works Department from Salt River Project for a total amount of $23,349.60, authorizing the Public Works Director to execute the sale agreement and addendum with SRP. And Councilmember Lewis, this is yours, so go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I was just looking through the information you gave us, and I see that it's a little over $3,000 more than we originally approved. And that truck, we only had the information on the truck, I believe, that you're asking to purchase. And then there's an email just from one of the employees that says, I wasn't able to find a truck for 20 grand. How extensive was this research? Was there, I didn't see anything on a list of vehicles that they looked at and just couldn't get one to what we approved earlier. So I'm just kind of curious what the process was and what was done and what wasn't.
Yes, we have had a hard time finding a bucket truck and found one. Went out and looked for several others, and I know that the local Garrett's had indicated that once we started looking to make sure that they had an opportunity as well, we told them basically what we had found and what the mileage was, what size it was, all of that, and they said at this point in time they don't have any available to basically bring in a price, so that's why they came up with those, and then the others were, given an opportunity to quote as well for a similar vehicle.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else have any? Councilmember?
Mayor, yeah, I've worked with the Public Works Department and also Al with the Recreation Department. I searched all the way on the East Coast, in the Midwest. At one time I had got a truck from a friend of mine that has a roofing company, Casa Grande. I contacted that company, and those boom trucks go quick. And so I talked to Al, I talked to Felix, the mechanic. We talked about the mileage, we talked about the condition. They sent a couple of mechanics up there to check it out. APS has a very strict maintenance program that they maintain. And after I looked at it, I felt very comfortable with the purchase of it.
Yeah, it's SRP, right?
It's SRP.
SRP,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I noticed the correspondence between Councilmember Hudson and the packet, so looks like this is it. Is anybody, if there's anything else? No?
Motion to approve is read.
Okay, motion and then a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
I'll be out of minutes.
Okay, we'll move on to business regular items. Item 12, consider approval of entering into the First Amendment to agreement between the City of Coolidge and the Coolidge Chamber of Commerce, Inc., to provide for additional funding to be used by the Coolidge Economic Development Committee for specific economic development projects. Who
Okay.
has-
Yes, we had, as you all know, $17,000 set aside to promote economic development in the city, and recently we decided that maybe we could do it on our own and do it better than we had in the past, because in the past we weren't receiving any projects for the money that we put out. So Councilman Steve Hudson suggested that CEDC, which is the Coolidge Economic Development Committee, and Artisan Village could do that economic development if they had the funding. And so I compliment Councilman Hudson for coming up with the idea. Maybe I should mention, just for the listening public on Channel 11, economic development is critical for the growth of a city. It produces the kind of revenue that supports our services. And we had an example of a lady who was an artist who was going to move to Green Valley and found a website on Artisan Village in Coolidge and decided, well, maybe I should live in Coolidge. So long story short, she bought a house in Coolidge, and she, as Lynn Parsons said, she just had her first class on fusion glass, they call it. And as she said, you talk about economic development, she had students from Ohio, Washington, Minnesota, Maryland, Virginia, Texas, and Colorado. So already, we're showing the kind of regional economic development that can come out of this effort. I'm going to set a couple of these examples. This is some examples of her work, of what they do. I'm going to leave it here on the table, so if any of you want to see what kind of artists that are being attracted to the community, it's true economic development. So I just wanted to mention that for the public. This is what we want to see: people moving into Coolidge, buying homes, and shopping, spending their money in Coolidge.
Mr. Flatley, if you could take it a step further, I would note for the record that I did obtain the information from our finance person a few meetings ago regarding how much money we've spent to a certain agency over the last 12 or 13 years, and we actually received not one project. And we spent $300,000 over the last 12 or 13 years and didn't get any results. Could you give me an example? Because I am getting some phone calls from people who don't think that our tax dollars should be spent there. Could you give us some examples of if this is approved, what the money can be spent for to help develop Coolidge? Well, can it be used for pamphlets? Can it be used for, materials to make, help Coolidge bring businesses into the community?
Yeah, sure. It would be marketing. One of the things that we're working on right now with the Artisan Village is a major marketing campaign to get the word out. People don't know where Coolidge is. So they don't know unless you tell them. And businesses, you've got to get your name out into the public, out into the marketplace. Otherwise, they don't know who you are, and that costs some money sometimes, to get your name out. And I don't think we've had a chance in the past to promote Coolidge like we should have. That's what the money would go for.
Well, I would say it certainly can't help. We've seen the results we've gotten from somebody else doing it for us. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I think every council member is in agreement with that. When it came to a vote, that was what we were planning and hoping that the money would go to help the Artisan Village and the Chamber, because the Chamber has really promoted the city. I mean, Lynn is at all kinds of meetings and, just going everywhere. So I think between the Chamber and the Artisan Village that they will do a wonderful job on promoting Coolidge.
Very good. I agree.
Did you guys, Steve?
Yeah, and we all did vote against the access Arizona because the money that's been spent over the years has not come back to us whatsoever. I attend the Coolidge Economic Development Committee meeting every month, and you should go there and look at the power that's there, just the people that sit in there. One of the representatives of the Walton Group is one of the biggest developers we have around here, sits on there and donates money. You got Rick Miller, Jack Melpass, you got APS that sits on there, you got Bob Flatley, you have Jim Garrett, you have Bank of the West. You have several high-end business people that have been in business a long time. And, advertising is the hardest thing to put a feel on what you get back. I mean, I've been in the automobile business for 40 years, and you spend hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars every month, and you don't know if it's paying off until somebody comes in and says, hey, I saw that car in that ad and I want to buy it. And the same way with Lynn. I mean, saying that the visitations are up, the walk-ins are up. And I think that this group of people, with the money that we're going to allocate, is going to do a lot more, get our name out a lot more than anything that we have had in the past. So, and I think it'll be good for our city of Coolidge and our citizens of Coolidge.
Thank you, Councilman. Anybody, or are we okay? If there's no further comment, I'd look for a motion.
Motion to approve is read.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Move on to item number 13. Consider approval of entering into a nonprofit agreement between the City of Coolidge and Artisan Village of Coolidge, LLC, for the purpose of pursuing economic development for the city. Is that you, Mr.
Yes, it's the same message. Actually, Artisan Village is a stepchild of the Foundation for the Performing Arts. We've always wanted to see some cultural activity in the city, and since 2002, and we started the first intergovernmental agreement with the city and the school district, we felt that if we had somebody to be able to be hired to run the activities of the Performing Arts Center, that maybe we could take another shot at it. And in doing so, the Artisan Village was kind of an outgrowth of our interest in the Performing Arts Center. And again, it's a promotion. You know, we have a 920-seat auditorium that, again, people didn't know about. And until we were able to become active and start using the auditorium and scheduling events, the same story. It just sat there year after year, a beautiful, one-of-a-kind auditoriums, and and now it's fully booked, and we're very proud that Artisan Village was a child that came out of that movement and continued on with the artists.
Thank you, Mr. Flatley, and we have assurances. Will we have a written agreement? I'm sure that will be public record, so if anybody thinks that the money's being misappropriated in any way, shape, or form, they'll be able to track every dollar?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Thank you, sir. If there's nothing further, I'd look for a motion.
Motion to approve is read.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm in favor. Aye. So, okay. Move on to item number 14. Consider approval of the infrastructure and services plan for the Paso Fino annexation. Mr. Miller, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. This item on your agenda is required by the Arizona revised statutes. Prior to an annexation, the City Council must consider and approve an infrastructure and services plan, which is a plan that basically illustrates the services that are to be provided in the annexed area over a 10-year period. We're talking about the 160-acre annexation that we're calling the Paso Fino annexation. This annexation area is at the northwest corner of Hannah Road and Highway 87, just north of the Corrections Corporation of America property. This annexation is a one-owner annexation. This owner approached the city, wanted to have his property annexed into the city limits, and we held a public hearing not long ago on this annexation, and then later on the agenda, in fact, the next item on the agenda is the proposed annexation ordinance. Well, as we've done in the past with the larger annexation area that was recently approved by council, we did a similar annexation infrastructure and services plan in accordance with the Arizona revised statutes. We provided that plan to you. It's a rather detailed document that talks about the different types of services that would be provided by the city to this area following the annexation. This annexation area is vacant land. It's not currently farmed. So there really are no services that are really going to be provided to this area until such time that the property is developed. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I did have some statistics in here for the police department that were 2013 statistics. I did recently get some additional statistics from the police department that actually shows that their calls for service for the department in total have actually gone down slightly from 2013. The calls for services went down from 26,295 to 23,722 in 2014, and that those calls that were initiated by officers actually went down from 12,002 calls in 2013 to 11,671 calls in 2014. That's the only thing I thought maybe I'd change in this whole plan, but it's a little more recent data. But other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about this plan.
Mr. Miller, in reading the data you provided, the only question that I really have, because a lot of it's very similar to what we've already reviewed, it appears that this annexation sits within the Eloy's designated management area in the CAG 208 plan regarding sewer.
Yes.
I know this piece of property has its own wells,
Yes.
but for sewer, what will be the process? Too bad Mr. Smith left. I mean, what are we going to have to do there? Is that going to be a problem?
Well, you know, it does sit in the Eloy DMA, and I think maybe Susanna can better answer this, but my understanding is that the CAG can amend the DMA boundary based on annexation efforts like this. There's an amendment process that would have to be undertaken to take it out of their DMA and put it in our DMA. But at this point in time, we're nowhere near this 160 acres with our city sewer service, nor is the city of Eloy. In fact, if you look at the Corrections Corporation of America property immediately across the street, they have their own wastewater facility there.
So if somebody was to come in there and say build a motel or a restaurant or what have you, would they be able to hook into the CCA facility, or do we know?
Potentially. I don't think we have an answer to that question right now. They'd have to have that conversation with CCA, or they could potentially do like CCA did and do their own package facility if there's an appropriate facility that can be designed and placed on that property. When you look at the cost of extending the sewer line from the current locations, either in Eloy or in Coolidge, I think it'd be cost prohibitive for somebody to develop that property and look for a line extension that would go as far as it would be required. So my way of thinking, and Susanna can either agree or disagree, but I think that the solution here is probably going to be some kind of an interim facility until such time that the infrastructure is a little closer to that.
And the individual that has sent us a request to come into the city of Coolidge,
yes, Mayor,
is aware of this situation with the 208 plan?
I don't know that he is aware of the 208 plan. I know that he's aware that the infrastructure is not readily available to serve this property.
All right, thank you. Any questions down here? Down here? All right, seeing no questions, I would look for a motion.
Motion to approve is read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item number 15, ordinance number 1516. An ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge extending and increasing the corporate limits of the city of Coolidge, Pinal County, state of Arizona, pursuant to provisions of Title IX, Chapter 4, Article 7, Arizona Revised Statutes and amendments thereto by annexing thereto certain territory contiguous to the existing city limits of the city of Coolidge, consisting of 160 acres, more or less, and located within Section 9, Township 7 South, Range 8 East of the Gila and Salt River Basin Meridian, Pinal County, Arizona, known as the Paso Fino Annexation.
Mr. Mayor, the members of the council, this is the companion item that we were just talking about. 160 acres, as you've mentioned, at the northwest corner of Hannah Road and Highway 87. Property owner is Mr. Ted Nash. It is a single owner annexation. We received the annexation petition signature for this annexation. This individual would like to be part of the Coolidge city limits. I would like to eventually talk about development of this property and associate that development with our development process here in Coolidge. In a item coming up next month on November the 9th, and also on 2 weeks later on November the 23rd, we'll have a public hearing and a request council approval of a general plan major amendment that actually extends our planning area boundary to include this 160 acres, as well as establish a land use policy figure for this property, which will be commerce and business. If you look at our general plan land use policy figure and you look at the county designation for land use for this property, commerce and business seems to be the appropriate future use for this property. We have been talking to the property owner about his intended uses for this property in the future, and they are more of a commercial retail related activity, commercial services. You'll note that in this annexation ordinance, we did not, as part of this ordinance, designate the zoning district for this property. I would like to do that in the coming months. We typically have 6 months to apply the appropriate zoning designation for this property. We may do that with the applicant through the Planning and Zoning Commission process, and then to council. If he's not ready to make an application, what we will likely do is just apply the most comparable city zoning to what it is currently in the county. The county designation for this property is general rural. We will likely come in here with a agricultural zoning district, which would be the most comparable. But be happy to answer any questions. We are recommending this this evening for your approval of the annexation ordinance, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Any questions?
Councilmember Murrieta?
No.
Well done. Well, hearing none, then Norma, I guess you need a motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 15-16 as presented.
Second.
Okay, so motion is second.
Okay, Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
Councilmember Lewis,
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Lopez,
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 16, consider approval of the claims for the month of September 2015. Any questions on what we owe and don't owe?
No, sir.
Okay. then,
Make a motion to pay the bill, sir.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We'll start down here, Mr. Lewis, Councilmember Lewis. Report from the mayor and city council. Do you have anything?
I missed the game event due to the Florence Coolidge JV game, but I heard it was a great event. The police department always does a good job of that. I met with the fire chief just to discuss how to move the fire department in a positive, progressive direction. Had a good meeting, so I'm looking forward to seeing some of those come to light, possibly in the future. But that's it.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
I attended the GAIN event, and there were a lot of people there. It turned out really well. I was really impressed.
Anything else?
Thank you, Mayor. I attended a forum on global leadership at the Arizona Biltmore, put on by Senator Jeff Flake, and it was sponsored by ASU, the Arizona Farm Bureau, Freeport McMoran, GPEC, and some others that were talking about, just really quick, 1% of the federal budget is spent on global affairs and working on markets, and basically what they do is develop markets for our products to export. So the farming, the cotton, the copper. So it was a really interesting discussion led by Lieutenant General William Kip Ward. He's retired U.S. Army that deals with infrastructure in foreign countries. But because I always go and lobby for getting that money and keeping it here, but it's a little bit that goes, and they showed how it actually creates a market for our products to export. So that was an interesting take on it, and I listened to what they had to say. So it was during the luncheon, and I went to listen. So I have some of that information if everybody'd like to see it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I attended the Chamber banquet, which recognized businesses of the year, citizens of the year, and there was also some of the youth of our city that were recognized. And then last Friday night, I attended the Coolidge High School Hall of Fame banquet, and it's totally amazing to look at the people that have graduated from Coolidge, went through whole Coolidge school systems, graduated, and what they have achieved after. It's just phenomenal. It was just a great banquet and a very good time. And one other thing, I'd like to thank Rick Miller and Bob Flatley for all the hard work that they put into the Coolidge Fly-In, going to the supervisors and making this a city event, which they approved. So the Lions Club will be serving. We can have our Saturday breakfasts again. I just want to thank you very much.
Is that it? Thank you. No. Mr. Flatley.
Okay, it was mentioned CEDC, Coolidge, Tatiana?
I don't see her there.
No.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Flatley.
Actually, she was at the Hall of Fame night as well. Yeah, the Coolidge Economic Development Committee meets tomorrow at noon. I think Greg Stanley, among others, will be there, the county manager. Halloween is Saturday, the 31st, at Kenilworth Sports Complex. Book signing for the new book coming out on Coolidge, which is, I think, should be very enjoyable reading. The signing is Wednesday the 4th at 6 o'clock over in the library. And also, the library is featuring a Veterans Resource Spotlight on Friday the 6th from 9 until noon. And lastly, as you mentioned, the fly-in. The fly-in Saturday, hope you all can make it. At 8 o'clock, we're going to have a ribbon cutting for the new fuel tanks. So 7:30 is when the breakfast starts at the fly-in, and then 8 o'clock we'll cut a ribbon for the new fuel tanks.
It's this Saturday?
No, it's the 7th.
Oh, yeah.
7th. November 7th. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Flatley. I, too, attended the GAIN event, which was the largest one. I've been to all of them, and that's the largest one I've ever, number of people I've ever seen there. So maybe it was the weather, maybe it was a lot of things, but it was a good turnout, and all the city staff did very well. I want to congratulate all the winners, businesses and individuals from the Chamber Banquet. It was a very good evening. The winners were well deserving, and it went very quickly because there was a threat of rain. So the speeches were short, and everybody got out of there, and it was great. The fly-in, I want to take it a step further. Councilmember Hudson, there were a lot of people that worked behind the scenes as well as, up front. I want to congratulate and thank Mr. Garrett and Mr. Bagnall and for going over there and sitting in on the meeting, the Lions representatives that went with the city officials. I think it's very important that the people at Pinal County don't think that it's just some of the crazy people up here, and the mayor and the council, that are making noise, that we do have the support of some of our citizens, especially when it comes to economic development and taking away things that have been in this community for a long time and are very important to a lot of the people in this community. So I think it sent a pretty good message, and I'm very glad that it turned out the way it turned out. And in saying that, did you have any? You have nothing else? Okay. If nobody has anything else, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, sir.
Second. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Have a good night, Tat.